So I'm going to do this just as, I assume that the far majority of you have never seen Wine Library TV, so I'm going to do this as if we were doing a straight up live show of Wine Library TV. So bear with the intro, it's a little over the top. Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. And this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, AKA the internet's most passionate wine program. And as you can see, we are absolutely classing up the joint today because I am sharing the stage with one of the most prominent, famous, and just best all-around winemakers, wineries in the world. I want to thank you for being here with me, Marc. Why don't you tell the Vayner Nation and the Vayniacs out there who you are and what you do?
I'm a winemaker in the Rhône Valley in France, in Châteauneuf-du-Pape in particular, and around Châteauneuf-du-Pape. And I'm doing wine from the Rhône, family business, fifth generation from father to son.
Phenomenal. Now, here is a little sidetrack before we do this show that the Vayniacs out there, you have to understand. The first wine that I ever put into my collection was the 1989 Beaucastel Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It achieved the Wine Spectator Wine of the Year. I was very young, that impressed me. I went out and got it from John Gellner, who we talked about before, and I still have that bottle. I'm very happy about that, and maybe you can sign it for me, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Nice, because I'm gonna sell it on eBay. All right. Let's get into the first wine here. Mott, I know you're not here, Mott, you're back in New York, but zoom in on the label. I'm just doing it like I would do on the show, I apologize. All right, Marc, why don't you tell us what this is and the suggested retail of this wine?
So this is Châteauneuf-du-Pape white. Only about 10% of Châteauneuf-du-Pape is white.
That's right.
It's Château de Beaucastel. It's vintage 07, so it's a very young wine from two grapes varieties. Roussanne, which is one of the best grape variety, I think, in warm climate.
Agreed.
And Grenache white.
Grenache Blanc, right?
Grenache Blanc, yeah.
Now, do you use Marsanne or Viognier in the Beaucastel white ever?
No, because Marsanne and Viognier cannot be used in Châteauneuf, only
right.
in Hermitage and
Sure.
Côte-du-Rhône. Yeah.
So, what is your feel? You know, what I'm always passionate about and why I told you I'm coming to the Rhône to do just white wines is I think a lot of the American viewers that are watching right now, white Châteauneuf-du-Papes are almost non-existent. Very small part of the market. Really the wine nerds, you know, we all hang out in the wine cave and talk about Châteauneuf-du-Pape Blanc and get all excited and laugh, really nerdy. But the far majority of people out there have no idea. Why do you think that is? And is it different within the Rhône, within France, and the rest of the world as you travel? Is the US very soft on white Châteauneuf-du-Pape in comparison to the rest of the world, or is that common theme outside the Rhône Valley?
Well, actually, it's true because historically the whites from the Rhône have been quite warm and quite heavy, and in modern times I think we have been doing much better wines. But the thing about this wine that they are fantastic with if you cook with olive oil. You know, wine is nothing without food.
Sure.
And these are great wines if you have anything with olive oil. You know, we are from Provence. Provence is olive oil country, and these just go fantastically well. So if you ever cook with olive oil, think about white Châteauneuf.
All right, let's get into the wine. I'd like you to give it a sniffy sniff right now. Oh, we will. All right, the first thing I come across on the nose, but go ahead, you can smell while I'm yapping. I get a very interesting acacia flower component popping through, exploding in my nose.
Yeah, it's very true. Acacia, honey also, and a lot of tropical fruits, in my opinion, like mango.
Yeah, I agree. The mango and the guava kind of come together like brother and sister holding hands and are really exploding on the nose.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's give it a whirl. I always get punked by the guest. Hey, Gary, you know what that just did? That just led to about 40 more emails. Hey, Gary, why are you such a girl and never drink the wine? You're a jerk. All right, the first thing that I recognize on this wine that I'm excited about is that it has a very seductive and serious level of acid on the back end. And if you know anything about wine drinkers, we all come back to one thing. We're absolutely, positively addicted to acid.
Yeah, acid is a balance of the wine.
No question. And this has it in spades. Now, we're drinking this at room temperature. What is your thought on white wine at room temperature?
Well, I think we should be drunk around 14 degrees Celsius, 15 degrees Celsius. So
it's a tad warm.
Yeah.
And so we feel the alcohol come up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But when you evaluate wine, like myself, I always tend to like it at room temperature because at the end of the day, white wines are much more exposed and you actually get the flavor at room temperature, whereas we all know in the wine trade, you get it nice and cold, you can trick the poor bastard who's buying the wine into thinking it's decent. Yeah. So do you use the cold wine trick sometimes?
Yes, sometimes.
All right. Listen, at the end of the day, this is going to be a very tough episode for me because really, when I do live shows, I always hope that one wine sucks and I can pan it so everybody does see that I'm authentic. On the flip side, you got to call a spade when it's a spade. This wine brings enormous complexity, has a rich, tropical mid-palate. I get dried apricots on the back-end finish, which is just gorgeous. Great length, great complexity. What's the suggested retail? You can go in euros, whatever.
In the US, would be around $80.
All right, 80 bones for a white wine in this economy is a little tough. That being said, this wine does bring thunder. And with the complexity in the back end, and if you're serious, and especially considering it's a pretty difficult wine to get, what is the production of this wine?
Oh, it's tiny. It's about 10,000 bottles.
I mean, 10,000 bottles. I mean, Michael Harrington could afford all 10,000 of them. I mean, so the bottom line is it's very difficult to find this wine. I like this. Good complexity, good backbone. I'm going to score this wine 93 plus points. And if you're balling like P. Diddy and you can afford it, go out and buy some of this. Let's move on. Next, the 2006 Chateauneuf du Pape Rouge, Mott, zoom in. Very nice. Let's give it a little rinse. Sorry, Gilmore gang, we'll be done in a minute.
We're drinking the wine.
Yeah. All right, tell me about this. This is obviously your classic Chateauneuf du Pape. Now, for wine nerds out there, there's also a level above, the Marc Perrin, the really difficult one, the one that I like to buy big 3-liter bottles of. When you come to Wine Library, I'll show you. You can sign them, eBay, that whole thing. All right, so why don't you tell them about this?
Well, this is Chateauneuf Red. It's a blend of 13 different grapes.
That's 13, guys, 1-3.
Chateauneuf du Pape was the first AOC in France, so it's a very historical wine. And this is the 2006 vintage,
Right.
Which is a very young vintage too,
Sure.
but which is for me a very good vintage because it has a good runness already. You know, it's tannic, but it has a very good runness.
It's a little bit more of a classic vintage, right?
Yes, it is a classic vintage. Yeah,
And a suggested retail on this?
about the same as the wine.
About
Yeah.
the same. And is this predominantly Grenache and Mourvedre?
Yeah, 30% each. Yeah.
Got it. All right, let's give it a sniffy sniff.
Sorry, guys.
So, you know, lots of sour cherry coming through. I also get a little bit of a burnt rubber, almost like a bike skid mark, like you're outside, like, you know, little smokiness.
Yeah, smokiness maybe. Yeah.
I also get a nice kind of like raspberry jam reduction sauce on the back end of the nose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else I'm missing? Anything you pick up?
Well, I get some spice also. You know, like pepper and this kind of spices. Yeah.
Let's give it a whirl.
Sure.
I can't be a punk. All right. 1 second.
That's how it starts, you know.
Yeah, this is surprisingly drinkable for such a young wine, yet it has considerable back-end tannins, almost like dusted chocolate, like a bitter, like 88% cocoa count chocolate on the back end.
Yeah, it has some tannins. You know, it's wine which is made for aging. You know, a great bottle of Beaucastel can age 25, 30 years, so you need some tannins to achieve that.
No question.
And at the same time, what I like with this 06 is that it's the softness of the wine is already there. It's already very enjoyable.
You know what I like about this wine is there's an enormous amount of floral components to this wine. I get a beautiful rose petal mid-palate with almost a little lilac spread on top.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really quite nice. At the end of the day, Vaynerchuk is a very young wine. It's drinking. It's approachable. I don't know how long it's been open, but obviously not too long. Obviously, this is a wine that you'd want to probably decant for 4 to 5 hours if you want to drink it now. But at the end of the day, this really needs to last for another 6 to 7 years when I think it's really going to start showing its merit. And probably has the backbone and structure to last for 15 to 18 years. If you really want to drink this, I would kind of go with like a pork loin. Maybe some duck would be tremendous with this wine. What vintage does the 06 remind you to in some of the classic years of Beaucastel? What does it remind you more of?
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't think 2000 was a little hotter? I thought 2000 was a little bit more approachable. Like it was very big. This seems a little more toned down.
Well, you know, every wine, every vintage is very specific, but I think 2000 was very approachable in the
Like
same
this?
way as this one is. Yeah.
Let me give it one more shot. Huge complexity in the back, Ben. I really do like this wine. You have to know your palate, though. If you don't respond well to bitter tannins, then leave the room right now, because this wine is loaded. A machete of tannins, if you would say. But a very solid bottle of wine. For my palate, this one rolls in at the 91, 92 point price range, score range, 80 bones. Again, a big investment. But no doubt, to pop and pour like he just did, and for these wines to show the way they're showing now, shows nothing short of huge opportunity in the future. And if you're rolling with a wine cellar, put a couple bottles away of this, and I guarantee you'll enjoy it. Marc, thank you so much for being on the Thunder Show, my man.
Thank you.
Now, don't clap yet, because he might screw this up. The tradition of the Thunder Show is that you get to ask the Vayner Nation the question of the day. It can be anything you want, but it has to be a question. Fire away.
Do you think that you bring people love wine?
The question is, do you guys think that I bring people into the wine game and get them to love it? Thank you, my man.
Thank you
so much. You, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world.
Wow. Wow.
Go Jets.
Could you do this every day?
Every
you do
day.
this every week,
5 days
right?
a week. 5 days a week.
I think Scoble wants some. Which one? White or red?
Scobes, you're such
Who
an
wants to try some
alcoholic.
wine?
Get up here. Free wine.
Yeah, who wants some wine? I think we'll keep it for the Gilmore gang.
Guys.
Let's see how the Gilmore gang is doing.
Let me just jump in one
Please.
second. I just want to say one thing.
Thank you.
I've been paying attention to the vibe. There's so much amazing stuff going on in this country specifically and in the world. Just do me 2 favors. Have a business model. You've got to make money. Money is oxygen. And number 2, care about your community. It will go so far. Caring is so underrated right now. It is a big misstep and is by far my biggest advantage. Do what you love and care, and you'll win every single time. I hope to meet you later. Thank you so much.
Wow. Hey, thanks.